All right, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm going to run through how I disassemble an M1A bolt assembly. Mine comes out, you can see right there, it's Rockola. Mine comes out of a James River Armory Rockola M14F. It's an M1A, but that's just what it's stamped, M14F on the receiver. It's a company out of North Carolina. Tools you'll need for this job: if you don't have a vise, I'm just going to show you how I do this without a vise. You're going to need a couple of punches, or in my case I usually use an old cleaning rod, just one section. The threads are stripped off, so I can't use this anymore, and then a small punch. So essentially what we're going to try to do, looking at the front face of the bolt, is you've got your ejector right here. The problem with this ejector is it has 3 shaved sides. Doesn't exactly make an ideal surface to apply pressure to. So we need to, step one, we're going to apply pressure to the ejector. While applying pressure on the underside, there's a pin right here that we have to punch out. All right, so your ejector is right here. It's spring loaded, and it is under quite a bit of tension. Feel it move there. While it is under pressure, you have to knock that pin loose. So I'm going to take this clean rod and apply pressure against our ejector. And then punch that pin out just like that. So, and it's shot out. You do have to be careful. There's your ejector. There's what it looks like. And it sits in there just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull everything out. You got your ejector spring. There's your ejector. This is the extractor, and there's a little plunger on there. Your extractor is now loose because it's not under any spring tension. You can let your firing pin come on out. I don't know if this is titanium firing pin, or if it's just stainless, whatnot. It looks pretty good, pretty clean. And we give everything a good wipe down, and we will reassemble, which is much more easy than disassembly. First thing we're going to do, back of the bolt assembly, we're going to drop our firing pin inside. Take your extractor plunger and spring. It goes right in there, that arm with the wheel. It sits just like that. Take our extractor. It's going to go down in the top into that hole. And we're going to let it sit right there just for now. It's not all the way in there. We're going to let it sit right there. Take your ejector spring, drop it down inside. Take your ejector. There's your surface of the ejector. It's got kind of a peak there with 3 shaved sides. Not sure why it's like that. I'm sure that there is a purpose for it. Little tip there. Just insert that into your spring. Thing's under quite a bit of pressure in there, so take note of how you put that ejector back in there. It has a slot. One side has a beveled edge, and when you push it in, that allows your extractor to fall into place. So here's the tricky part. I wish you could just do this with your finger. If you could, it would just be so much easier, but you cannot. You have to have a tool. So now for this, it is just a little bit easier getting it back into place, because all you have to do is apply pressure. You're not trying to break that ejector back down. Take our cleaning rod. Be mindful of what direction you're pushing this down and what's around you, because that spring, if you lose pressure on it, it'll fly. You might be hunting around for an ejector spring. So you push it in there. And there you go. Push down on the extractor. It falls right into place. A good investment I recommend to many M1A and M1 Garand owners is this tool right here. This is a bolt tool, which makes it a heck of a lot easier to disassemble your bolt. So I got this one on Amazon. This was actually a gift. It was like 40 or 50 bucks. It's kind of pricey for two rifles that I only shoot maybe twice a year each, maybe 3 times a year. I asked the wife for I don't know, maybe a Father's Day gift or a birthday gift or something. I put this on the list and asked her to give it to me, and it ended up under the Christmas tree or whatever the case was. But you can also find this, they have a different version at Brownells. It looks a little bit different, but it's essentially the same thing. You've got a handle that swings here on top. It did not come with any instructions. This is the way it came in the envelope. You've got a spring-loaded button on the bottom, and you can see it. You can see it right there. As I push the button, it pops up there, and you've got a pin right here. Now, based on the guidance that we just looked at just a second ago, you set the bolt in there. That would obviously, this little protrusion right here would obviously apply pressure on the ejector, and the one coming up through the bottom is going to punch out your extractor. Now what you're going to want to do this on a hard surface, because once you get it in there, I just kind of had to figure this out on my own because it didn't come with instructions, but you can feel it pushing the pressure against the extractor. So you move the handle forward, and when you squeeze, it pushes the bolt assembly forward, applies pressure to the extractor, and then with the button on the bottom, it's easiest to do this on a table. You can push on the button on the bottom. So you remove your extractor. There's your extractor and your plunger. Lift the handle, remove the bolt, because just like the Garand, when I do my Garand bolt, it gets a little stuck in there too. That thing gets hung on the ejector. And there's your firing pin wanting to come out, but I don't think it's going to come out with that handle in the way. Oh, yeah, I guess it will. Or 2 adjustments that can be made on here. Your first hole is for your Garand bolt, and then the second one's for the M1A. All right, reassembly. Take our bolt and the ejector spring. We take our ejector. Be mindful of your little beveled notch there. It needs to go, if you're looking at the top of the bolt, it needs to go, the notch needs to be facing towards the wheel side, because once you push it all the way in there, then it's going to allow the extractor to engage. Put our firing pin in the back. I'm going to place our bolt onto the tool. So it's engaged in the front. I'm going to swing the handle over, push down, apply pressure on the extractor, or the ejector rather. We'll take our extractor spring and extractor plunger. I'll place it back down inside that little hole in the arm. It's a lug with a wheel on it, and that wheel is not present on the M1 Garand bolt. That's an M14 or M1A specific feature. Place our extractor right in there, and while still applying pressure on the handle, allow the extractor to fall into place, remove it, and your bolt is assembled. Again, $50 or $60 on a tool for an item that I only use a couple of times a year. It's pretty pricey, but I'm gonna hold on to it for a while. It's made pretty well. It doesn't have any manufacturer stamps or anything like that on it, where it's made, country of origin or anything like that. It screams China all over it, but it works well to protect my investments. I'm very pleased with it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, and I'll see you in the next one.